In the confines of this palace, George H.W. Bush was going to be assassinated. He was to be killed by 3 Palestinians. However, the ones in charge of the operation were not Palestinian, but instead Israeli. More specifically, the Israeli Mossad, their Central Intelligence Agency. But why was the Mossad trying to kill Bush? And how do we know about this failed assassination plot? Both of these answers lie with one man, Viktor Ostrowski. The Mossad agent turned whistleblower who wrote 2 books detailing the activities of the agency, By Way of Deception and The Other Side of Deception. The books have information discussing the various crimes of the Mossad. Among them was the plot to assassinate Bush. The first Intifada was at its height in Palestine in the early 90s, and because of that, tension was at its all-time highest within the Holy Land. Israel was expanding its settlements in the West Bank at its quickest since its occupation begun at the end of the Six-Day War. In what seemed like an unrecognizable move today, the American administration criticized the state of Israel and took action. George H.W. Bush responded by halting a $10 billion loan guarantee to the Israelis for 120 days. At a press conference, he was pushed about the loan guarantee. The president backed his decision, saying that he was against what he called powerful political forces.
And I'm up against some powerful political forces, but I owe it to the American people to tell them how strongly I feel about deferral.
Are those powerful political forces ungrateful for what you've done so far in a peace process, and why doesn't the peace argument sell with them?
I think it will sell, but it's taking a little time, and we're up against a very strong and effective, sometimes, groups that go up to the Hill. I heard today there were something like 1,000 lobbyists on the Hill working the other side of the question. We got one lonely little guy down here doing it.
Israelis did not respond positively. President Bush is an anti-Semite and a liar, said Rehafan Ziafi. The prime minister at the time, Yitzhak Shamir, decided to do damage control not by reprimanding the official, but by saying in a cabinet meeting, nothing is gained from talking too much. Later, he continued to be pressed about the loan guarantees. The prime minister said, "We will remain faithful to our ideals, to Zionism, to Jerusalem, and to the land of Israel." Posters popped up all around Israel depicting Bush in a pharaoh's hat, saying that we have overcome the pharaohs, we will overcome Bush. The prime minister claims the feud between Washington and Tel Aviv began in May 1991 in what can be described as an explosion in his biography. Bush's powerful political forces and lonely man quotes occurred on the 12th of September. The Israeli cabinet meetings where Bush was called an anti-Semite, and Shamir told them niggas to shut the fuck up, happened on the 16th. Victor was informed about Mossad's plan to kill the president on the 1st of October via a phone call from someone who was currently in the Mossad. Victor at this point had not been in the agency for some time. The Middle East Conference in Madrid where Bush was going to be killed was a month away on the 30th of October. Ostrowski was invited to a meeting in Ottawa not too long after he learned the information on the 1st. It was held by a think tank, the Middle East Discussion Group, where he would speak about the danger to the president's life alongside other topics relating to Mossad. A person at the meeting would contact former California Representative Pete McCloskey about the danger to the president, who would in turn contact Ostrowski on the 15th, looking to meet him in person. On the 19th, the two would meet in Ottawa at the Westin Hotel. He would tell the congressman everything he knew, who would in turn inform the Secret Service. The 3 who were supposed to kill Bush were taken originally from Lebanon, a nation where the Mossad operates heavily. They were taken there to the Negev Desert and then to the Zayona Research Facility, where in Ostrowski's words they were, quote, terminated. The plot, according to Ostrowski, was leaked, and because of that, Mossad decided to not go through with the plan. The congressman would discuss the assassination attempt years later.
I have a particular thanks that I want to express to him. I served in a minor capacity on one of the commissions appointed by my friend George Bush. And George Bush outraged the American Jewish community, if you recall, by taking a position that our aid to them, $10 billion, should be conditioned on a reasonable Israeli position toward a Mideast peace. Victor Strauss-Kahn spoke out and said that the President of the United States is subject to the possibility of assassination if al-Mossad hits him when he goes to Spain at an international convention. By that willingness to speak out, he may have saved the life of the President of the United States.
But are Victor's words true? No one in the Israeli government has gone against Victor's claims, and overall nothing has been widely challenged. At the same time though, some assertions like Robert Maxwell, father Ghislaine Maxwell, having worked directly for Israel, has been corroborated. Victor's main claim around Maxwell was him selling a modified version of the American-made software, ProMIS, modified with Israeli backdoors, to various nations including the United States itself. This became known as the Inslaw affair, named after the company that developed the software. Others have since corroborated his claims, such as Ari Ben Menashe, a longtime Israeli intelligence officer and arms dealer. He claimed that Maxwell was an agent of Mossad, just like Victor, and also corroborated Victor's claims of Israel having knowledge of the Beirut bombings that killed 241 Americans before it occurred. Ari also claimed that Robert was the one who informed the Mossad about Mordecai Vanunu, an Israeli whistleblower who told the media about the Israeli nuclear program and was shortly after abducted by Mossad. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are simply a small piece of the interconnected world of intelligence and business. However, the main revelation made from these discoveries for most people these past few years has been that the world is not as simple as what is shown in front of you in the media. It is always said that the President of the United States is the most powerful man in the world. But is he? This clandestine form of diplomacy is called deep politics. It is the true political system.
Relations. You helped start the Trilateral Commission, and you've been to the Bilderberger groups.
Well, yes, I haven't done those for years, so that's partial redemption, I suppose. But otherwise, yes.
But what is belonging to all those groups? We talked about the Trilateral Commission when you were here in 1989. But what about the association with that? Are people too close in this world? People in business too close to the governments?
Well, you know, there is such a thing as insidious influence. And the question is, how does it operate? Does it involve bribery? And does it involve some sort of psychological domination of individuals? I don't believe in this notion of some sort of secret societies controlling people. But of course, in any political system, there are sort of over the table and under the table arrangements.